a contradiction, isn't it? A self-contradiction. One can consciously contradict or unconsciously. Either it can be deliberate or unconscious. Either the contradiction can be very, very subtle or obvious. And when the cleavage in contradiction is very great, then one becomes either unbalanced or one realizes the cleavage and sets about to mend it. Now, to understand this problem, what's a lie and why we lie, one has to go into it with an understanding not as an opposite. Can we look at this problem of contradiction in ourselves without trying to be not contradictory? I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Our difficulty in examining this question, isn't it? Is it not? That we condemn readily lie, a lie. But to understand it, can we not think of it not in terms of truth and falsehood, but what is contradiction? All right. Why do we contradict? Why is there contradiction in ourselves? Is there not an attempt to live up to a standard, up to a pattern? This constant approximation of ourselves to a pattern, to be something in the eyes of another, or in the eyes of oneself. There is a desire, is there not, to conform to a pattern. And when is not living up to that pattern, there is a contradiction. Now, why do we have a pattern? A standard, an approximation, an idea up to which we are trying to live. Why? Obviously to be secure, obviously to be safe, to be popular, to have good opinion, and so on, so on. There is the seed of contradiction. As long as we are approximating ourselves to be something, there must be contradiction. Therefore, there must be this cleavage between the false and the true. I think this is important if you will quietly go into it. Not that there is not the false and the true, but why the contradiction in ourselves? Is it not because we are attempting to be something? To be noble, to be good, to be virtuous, to be creative, to be happy, and so on, so on, so on. And in the very desire to be something, there is a contradiction, not to be something else. And it is this contradiction that is so destructive. If one is capable of complete identification with this or with that, then contradiction ceases. But when we do identify with ourselves with something completely, there is self-inclusion. There is a resistance which brings about unbalance, which is an obvious thing. So our difficulty in this question is, why is there contradiction in ourselves? I've done something and I don't want it to be discovered. I have thought something which doesn't come to the mark, which puts me in a contradiction, and I don't like. So, where there is an approximation, there must be fear. And it is this fear that contradicts. Whereas if there is no sense of becoming, being, attempting to be something, then there is no sense of fear. Then there is no contradiction. Then there is not a lie in us at any level, consciously or unconsciously. Something to be suppressed, something to be shown. And as most of our lives are a matter of moods and poses, depending on our moods we pose, which is a contradiction. When the mood disappears, we are what we are. It is this contradiction that is really important, not how superficially you politely white lie or not. And as long as this contradiction exists, there must be a superficial existence and therefore superficial fears which have to be guarded. A white lie, all the rest of it follows.